And this is the NFL Wildcard weekend. And this is the Great Classic Sports Debate. And let's get right into it. And if you're watching, please like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, fellas, it is Monday night. It's halftime of Game 6 of this opening weekend. So we are 5.5 games in. And some of the games have been pretty good, some not so good. Let's just start with Saturday, where we had two, I think it's fair to call them both blowouts, yes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Houston Texans handled the Cleveland Browns. Kansas City Chiefs handled the Miami Dolphins. I got to tell you, I didn't expect the Dolphins to do great, but those weather conditions were so awful. My God, 7 degrees below or something like that. So give me your thoughts.
Go ahead, Steve.
Let's talk about the Browns first.
Okay.
There is no reason to believe the Browns will ever be anything but embarrassing, just a disappointment to not only the city of Cleveland, but the state of Ohio. Thank God I'm a Bengals fan. So I laugh at the misery of the Browns. So I'll just say that I was not surprised by this.
Okay.
Maybe surprised that they were blown out, but not surprised that they lost. I knew as an Ohio State fan watching CJ Stroud, I felt very strongly that he would be a great NFL quarterback, even given the track record that Ohio State has had in the past with some of their players at quarterback in the NFL. But I knew watching him that he just had such a touch, such a great touch on the ball. And, I was glad if anybody was going to beat the Browns to see that it was CJ Stroud. And I just want to say that if there's one team that's America's team right now, it ain't the Dallas Cowboys. It's CJ Stroud and the Texans.
All right. Paul?
Yeah, like I saw this article today that said when their Cleveland's left guard or right guard, Vittorio went out, they didn't score again. And so if you recall, he gets hit and throws an interception. And then the next time he gets hit again and throws the pick six.
Right.
And that's it. When that happens, and I'll tell you, this is my track record. When a team wins a game like that, by getting multiple turnovers, they always lose the next week. So look for Houston to lose. I know they're playing
the Ravens. So, that's a tough out no matter what.
I'm picking the Ravens for the Super Bowl anyway, so
I can't disagree with that.
Without knowing who the opponent was, when a team, you look at the record in playoff games, some teams just lay down that first game, like the Dolphins laid down, and the Browns laid down. It's just amazing how quickly the pretenders pretend and the contenders contend. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I think the Dolphins' main problem is they are built for September and October, playing in the heat down there, where the visiting team stands in the sun all afternoon, and it's hot. I mean, you guys live down there.
Yeah,
they're just not built for cold weather games, and they're going to have to figure this out because they're going to have to get the number 1 seed in years to go if
they're going to advance. Yeah.
Well, they had a lot of injuries. Like whoever is the strength and conditioning for the Dolphins should be fired, and not only fired, probably dropped that into a volcano because my God, it's just unbelievable. They had like 8 or 9 starters out.
Yeah,
blown Achilles, blown knees, and you're like, how can the statistical anomalies of it continue to happen? It's just mind blowing.
You got to recognize that you're going to be playing in cold weather scenarios. And,
I agree.
And their team is not built for that.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say if you're built or not when they have 8 or 9 start. I mean, we lost our entire defensive pass rush team.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, half the starting quarterbacks in the NFL are out this year. So it's not just a Miami anomaly.
Yeah. No, but Miami had so many. We lost 3 linemen.
It was unusual, yeah.
Jalen Ramsey was out for half the year. It's just ridiculous.
I would say
there's
some truth to that.
Okay, fellas.
Go ahead.
Okay, fellas, we're on the clock here because we're only going to stay on during halftime. So before we move to Sunday, let me just throw out this thought real quick on CJ Stroud. For me, he's been the overachiever of the entire season. for as long as I've been alive, I can't count. I would need a calculator to count the number of hyped quarterbacks coming out of college that fizzle out in the NFL. It's so common that I have come to expect it. And so I didn't have any reason to believe he was going to achieve these sort of heights. But man, kudos to him. He's done great. And boy, did they look good. And I mean, the fact that they have to play the Ravens next is a big ask, but man, they looked good. Really, really impressive. And for a rookie, wow, can't ask for much more.
Think about the Carolina Panthers who passed on him. They had the #1 pick, and they picked the guy from Alabama, little dude.
Bryce Young, yeah.
The little dude who's shifty, and at Auburn, that stuff's not going to work in the NFL.
Yeah. No. Going back a couple of years when Justin Fields was in the draft, I said he's not going to be an NFL quarterback. But I had a feeling C.J. Stroud would be. Just watching him and seeing the touch that he has on the ball. Yeah. I knew he's our first legitimate NFL quarterback in my entire lifetime. From Ohio State, anyways.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's jump forward to Sunday. The late game was a fantastic game that went down to the wire, but the early game, oh my God, Green Bay wrecked Dallas. And I mean they wrecked them. And the thing is, that final score, which is 48-32, which looks bad, it was worse than that. Oh, yeah. They got 2 late garbage time touchdowns to make the score look, sort of not even close, but whatever. Yeah. But I mean, that was they crushed them. So
it was 24-27-0 at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't foresee that coming. Listen, 5 or 6 weeks ago, I don't remember who Dallas played. They played somebody pretty good, and they handled them. I said, you know what? Dallas right now looks like a Super Bowl team. Boy, was I wrong on that one. My God, they just got owned. So what do you guys think? Steve, I know you're happy that –
Well, I'll just say, year in and year out, the Cowboys continue to be the most overhyped team in the NFL. They have the most entitled fan base. They haven't done anything since 1995. Okay. And Dallas, if they want to go anywhere, they need to fire Jerry Jones.
I agree.
Fire the owner?
Yeah, fire the owner. I know it's not going to happen.
All right.
It's funny because Stephen A. Smith of ESPN says that, and it's funny to watch him just rip on when he was arguing against somebody, I can't remember who it was, Bayless or somebody. That wasn't Bayless, but anyway, he's like, why would you keep talking about the Cowboys? They have done nothing. Like Steve says, since Barry Switzer got them the Super Bowl.
Right.
They've done nothing. And what I think is funny is I know this guy who's a Packers fan, and back when McCarthy was coaching him, he never called him McCarthy. He called him McFatty. And he goes, McFatty will always let you down. He said, we got lucky that 1 year won Super Bowl, but McFatty will always. And I was like, oh my God, this is a Packers fan who hates him.
If they were to just get to the NFC Championship game, which I don't think they've been to one since 95. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, to me, that's at least success. And you can, you can run your mouth if you're a Cowboys fan, but you haven't made it there in almost 30 years. Yeah. So enough of this America's team nonsense.
Yeah. That is a delusional fan base. All right, let's skip ahead to the next game because first of all, the Detroit Lions won their first playoff game in 32 years. And man, I am so happy for their fan base because here in South Florida, it's been 20 years or more since we've won a playoff game. So I sort of know how they feel.
Yeah. I mean, think about this, Steve. Kenny and I were at that game.
We were.
The last time we won a playoff game.
Dolphins, Colts, wasn't it?
Yep. And Peyton Manning was the quarterback, and we beat them 17-16 or whatever it was.
It was a great game. It was. Yeah,
I can sympathize. Up until a couple of years ago with Joe Burrow, we hadn't won a playoff game since 1991 as well, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
1990. So I think it was the year after we went to the Super Bowl. That was the last playoff game. So I can sympathize with them. I don't feel as bad knowing that, Michigan just won a national championship. So
good point.
There's that. I have zero sympathy for the Rams fans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was a blown call at the end, but they basically were given a Super Bowl against the Bengals a few years ago.
I agree with Steve.
So
I like Dan Campbell a lot.
They're the LA scams in my book. So
I like Dan Campbell. He coached the Dolphins for 6 games. I love that man, and I think he's a great coach.
I don't know how far they can take it. I don't think there's a dominant team in the NFC. I know everybody's on San Francisco this year, but I think if you look at the teams that beat San Francisco this year, I think they're all in the AFC. Basically,
the Clowns beat them.
The Browns beat them. The Bengals beat them.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think the
Baltimore wiped them out.
Yeah. So, Detroit has a legitimate chance.
They're legit. Yeah,
to go to the
they're
Super
legit.
Bowl.
We'll see what happens.
But I think it runs through Baltimore either way.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, today's game that was earlier was Pittsburgh and Buffalo. And guys, as much as it kills me to admit it, Buffalo is really peaking at the right time. I mean, for 5 or 6 weeks in a row now, they've looked good. Josh Allen, love him or hate him, man, that guy delivers. He does, He's a good passer, and he's a good runner. Some really good runs.
Yeah. He's the biggest fraud in the history of the NFL. He is a fraud on a fraud express.
I agree.
When he runs, and they say he's such a great runner. He's running behind this. No one touches the man for 25 yards. He's a great runner. And he makes stupid passes. We'll see what happens when the stuff gets tough. When he actually has some pass.
I agree. I agree 100%, Paul. They got a huge break. Go ahead, Kenny.
All I was going to say is that's what makes this point in the season so good, because, during the regular season, you can have an off day or whatever, but at this point, you perform or you go home. It's very unforgiving. And so, what happens? The champions, they rise to the occasions and they make plays when they have to. Today, Pittsburgh had multiple opportunities to get back in that game, and they couldn't make the plays.
That's true.
They played well. It was a good game, but every time they had to have a play, they didn't make it. And so ultimately that does you in.
I will say this. I agree with Paul. Josh Allen is the biggest fraud in the league. And Buffalo got a huge break by the weather, because had they actually had to play the game in the snow, and I realize it was 4 below or something like that.
Yeah.
But they are a soft team. They don't play well in the snow, which is ironic given their location.
Right.
But if they had played that game yesterday, I guarantee you Pittsburgh would have won. They're just a tougher, more physical team.
Okay. What about the game going on right now? Tampa Bay versus Philadelphia. It's Tampa Bay's up by, I think, a touchdown. By the way, it's noteworthy that they tried the tush push thing on the extra point, and Tampa Bay stopped them. No one stopped them all season long. They stopped them. I couldn't believe it.
Well, they have that guy Vita Vea who weighs 350 pounds to probably bench press 7,000 pounds.
He's the size of a tank. Yeah.
And what Steve said this a while back, and I know other players have said it. If you're going to run that, I'm going to get a running start, and I'm going to jump over, and I'm going to crash into Jalen Hurts so hard, I'm going to kill him. And I can't remember was it Devin Bush or a linebacker for Tampa. They got up there, and when he submarined him, as Steve knows, low man wins.
Yeah.
And then and then it was nothing for him to jump.
Yeah,
Sooner or later,
Jalen
Hurts is going to get his head taken off, and I'm going to clap that day.
Well, if you saw the replay, I mean, they stopped him cold. It really wasn't close. I mean, I don't think he gained an inch. I don't think he gained anything. It was totally stopped him. And I went, wow, that's the first time I've seen that all season.
And that play will also end when he gets his knee rolled over.
Yep.
In that rugby scrum.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I like it. I love old school football. I love it when quarterbacks run. But they basically start every down or every series at 1st and 8. Every set of downs, it's 1st and 8, because you're basically guaranteed 2 yards. Well, but I think Philadelphia is just proving how hard it is to repeat in the NFL this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What's cheating is, I don't mind him getting it, but when the guys push from behind, that's where the cheating and the rules, and I think the NFL is going to stop that in the offseason.
They may assisting the runner.
Bull crap.
It used to be
you couldn't do it. It was illegal.
You could do it. Yeah. Now I don't know if they ever changed the rule, but they at least let them get away with it. I don't have a problem with it.
They changed the rule. They changed the rule a few years ago and made it totally legal. So, okay, listen. Any thoughts on how this game's going to play out? Because other than that, we need to go ahead and wrap it up because the game's starting.
I think Philadelphia's. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, I think Tampa Bay's going to pull it out. Baker Mayfield seems to be having a good game, and
he looks good. So
I hope Steve's right. I feel the Phillies coming on, but God, I just do not like Philadelphia and rooting.
And Oh, sorry, Paul. I just want to see their fans melt down again too.
Yeah, that's oh yeah,
well,
yeah.
For me, just quickly, they started 10-1. This is the most inexplicable collapse, and I mean collapse. It's one thing to have an off. This is a collapse that's almost impossible to explain or define. So to go from that best record in the league to making it as a wild card and get eliminated first round and not looking good,
it's just like the Dolphins. They lost just like the Dolphins.
Yeah, not that different, I guess.
Well, the Dolphins beat up on all the bad teams.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Can't dispute that one. Okay, guys, let's just go ahead and wrap it up. We're going to get right back on the game. But for now, this is the Great Classic Sports Debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
If you're watching, please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our sister channels, The Great Classic Rock Debate, The Great Classic Movie Debate. Until we see you again, until we meet again, we'll see you next time.